All right, I think I am live inside all the places today, and I am very happy to be here to talk about my favorite social platform, and has been one of my favorites for a really long time, and that's Twitter. And if you are here watching, if you're watching on Facebook or on LinkedIn or maybe over on YouTube, you can add your comments there and I will see them here inside of StreamYard, which is what we're using today for this live sort of open office hour, but also a little bit of a training, maybe a little, you can think of it as a little discussion about all the things Twitter and how they would help you as a social media manager for you and or your clients. So I'm super excited about this. I love Twitter, like I said, and I am so happy that you are here. Now, let's just say this straight up. I want to continue this conversation after this event, and the best place to do it is over in the new community. And if you don't know what I mean when I say new community, then, I have missed the boat and get in contact with you. Just private message me and I'll tell you how to get into the new community. It is a wonderful place for social media managers, and that's where we will be continuing the conversation today. But I just want to say straight up that I am very happy to be here today, and I'm very happy to talk about Twitter. So let's just get into it, as they say. So today we're going to talk about Twitter's best features for marketers. And the reason you're seeing my browser bar up here is because I'm actually going to be going to a lot of different places from this slideshow, so that I need to have the browser up. After this event, I give you access to everything on this slide presentation because there are a lot of excellent links on here for you to follow. So what we're going to do is go through this in terms of what you or a social media manager client would need on Twitter. So let's just talk about this a minute. So Twitter, as in like all the social platforms, can be used effectively. And I have to say, there are probably a lot of people who are not attending this presentation today because they have written off Twitter. Either they've written off Twitter for political reasons, or they've written off Twitter for lots of different reasons, and they just don't care about Twitter as a platform to promote your business or business of others. And I'm saying that there are a lot of situations where Twitter is really a really good choice. There are some situations where Twitter is not a good choice. So let's get into it, right? But the most important thing on any social site is you have to start with your business goal. If you don't know why you're on a space, then there's no reason for you to be there, straight up. So a few trainings ago, I talked about the OKR system. I think that OKR system would be really, really good to use to sort out if you or the people that you promote would need to use Twitter at all. Right? So let's get into it and see if this is something. But remember, it depends on your business. Twitter is not for everybody. And let's get into it. So before we get into the features, I want to talk about those business goals. So as a social media manager, your business goals are probably either you want more leads into your services, or you want to build your email list, or you want to gain authority, social authority in your field. And this one right here, this goal, is what a lot of people use Twitter for, because they have an opportunity to explain their thoughts, their opinions, their attitudes, their reasonings for certain things. And that's how they gain social authority. And it's easily done on Twitter. There's lots of opportunity for that. And there are lots of people inside this community who use Twitter for that one reason. Right? But let's say you have a client, a service client, well, they still need leads. They still need to get people on their email list. They still need to show their authority in comparison to other services in their niche, and they need to get sales, right? So those are generally the goals of a service client. And then you have product clients. Products are, rule the world at the moment, and their biggest goal is traffic to their sales pages, sales, obviously, and did I mention sales, right? So that's a very important business goal for these clients. So if you are a social media manager and you have clients, I want you to, if you're watching this right now, just write down the type of client that you have. And I want to make sure that I cover all the cool features on Twitter that that particular client might be able to use. Okay, so make sure if I don't mention the industry that your client is, that you make sure you put that in the comments for me. All right, so what are the best features? I'm going to give you the whole list right here, and we're going to go through them one by one. So here they are. Well, there's a few of these. Twitter has a lot of cool features. I mean, a lot. And sometimes when people think of Twitter, they just think old school Twitter, and they just think, oh, there's a feed and everybody's just typing something, right? That's a very outdated way to look at Twitter. Just like if someone said, oh, Instagram is all about the pictures. Not anymore. So the social platform of Twitter has changed a lot since I joined way back in the day. And here are some of the best features. So let's talk about some of these and talk about how these would be good for particular clients. And the first one up here is communities. And when you get this slide deck and you click on this, you will go to some of the official sites on Twitter about that particular feature. And communities are kind of cool. Communities are, it's sort of like, if you want to compare it to something, it's sort of like a group on Facebook. The community, everybody who's in the community can post to the community feed, okay? And I want to show you how that looks on Twitter itself. If I click over here, this is the icon for communities, and I click that, you can see that I am a member of these 3 communities here. This one you might recognize right away. And if you click on the community, now the entire feed is going to be things that have been posted to this particular Twitter feed. So this particular community. So it's sort of like a search results page for a topic, except that you join it. Okay, so communities are things that you join. So what type of client does this help? What type of client does a community help? In my feeling about this is that if you, as a social media manager, need to develop your social authority in the field in a particular niche, then either start a community about that niche and post to it often, or seek out communities and join them and make your opinions known there. So think about it. It's very, very good for thought leaders. It's very good for your clients who maybe are authors or have opinions, or they're journalists or different people whose opinions matter. Those communities are very good. Also, communities are excellent for gathering information. So for example, if it's your job to find incredible news in social media to be able to share in a newsletter, or maybe one of your clients has a course on social media that needs to have topical information, then joining this particular community is going to give you everything you need. It gives you all the things that are going on right now in real time in social media. So there are lots of different communities like that, not just ones for social media. There's all sorts of communities. So again, if you have a client that is needing to either share their opinions about a particular thing to get that social authority, or they need to gather information to be able to use in their own business, then that's a really good reason to be in a community. It sort of shortcuts the group search. It shortcuts the advanced search for different topics. It sort of acts as a kind of like a Feedly in a lot of ways. So it's a very, very cool feature for people to try out. It's great for small communities to get together and talk about certain topics and know that the only thing in that feed is that conversation inside the community. All right, let's talk about the next one and who should use it. Let's talk about Review. So in case you don't know, Review is Twitter's built-in newsletter, okay? And what you can do is you can post a newsletter, and on your profile on Twitter, it shows up as a sort of band underneath your profile image to your profile to join the email for that newsletter. It's just a built-in newsletter system. So who is this good for? Well, let's think about it. If you already have a client that's really doing incredible stuff on Twitter, then this is a great free place to have a newsletter. If you're spending $200 a month on MailChimp, for example, then maybe you need to look at review in terms of cost, right? So there's lots of reasons for people to use review, and I think that that is a great avenue for someone who needs to build up their email list and needs to get a newsletter out inside a social platform that they're already using on a regular basis. So that's review. Now, the nice thing is you can have a paid subscription to it also. So you can ask people to join it, and there's a cost to joining, and it's another revenue stream for your client that way. So that's review. I do want to note, though, that one of the biggest users of review has been Matt, and I know you guys know Matt Navarra because we've been sharing his social media news for a really long time. He's moving his entire newsletter off of review, and I honestly don't know why, but I'd like to find out and let you guys know about that. So that's review. Now, the nice thing is that that's just one of, the rest of these features here. So let's talk about Twitter Blue. Who is Twitter Blue for? Twitter Blue is very interesting. So this is the paid side of Twitter. So this is where you're paying for Twitter. And the interesting thing is that it honestly, in my opinion, is not a lot right now. It's not, the features are not really worth it in my mind, but it gives engaged people exclusive access to premium features. And everybody signed up for Twitter Blue so that they could get the edit button. And the edit button is still challenging for a lot of people, and it's still not, in my mind, enough of a feature to pay for Twitter Blue. But again, it depends on you and it depends on your process. If you are somebody who tweets a lot and you're always mistyping something, then Twitter Blue is for you. It's very little money to be able to fix your mistakes on the go. So I think that's something that you need to think about and see if that's the best thing for you. All right, back to Twitter Live. Now, if you're as old as I am, you remember Periscope. So a long time ago, there was a Twitter Live, a standalone app called Periscope. And then they integrated Periscope into Twitter, and now it's just called Twitter Live. It's the same thing. You go live inside of Twitter. And using a system like StreamYard, you can also go live inside of Twitter from a system like StreamYard and restream in all the places. So who is this for? Who is Twitter Live for? Twitter Live is for a lot of different kinds of clients. Let's talk about some that I haven't talked about yet. So let's say you have a local food truck client, all right? So this is very physical, product-based business, location-based business, food-based business. Why would Twitter Live be good for them? Twitter Live is an excellent way to get attention to your audience very quickly. And just like Instagram Live is that way because of the notifications and because of the way it shows up on the site. So using Twitter Live as a food truck client is a really good idea. An hour before the food truck opens, you go live on Twitter, you talk about the menu, you talk about who's cooking today, you talk about the weather, you talk about where you're located, all the things, and then that's it. Super easy to do. It's so easy to do from your phone. It's probably one of the easiest ways to go live of all the social sites. And that's just one idea. There's other reasons and other businesses who go live on Twitter. Again, those thought leaders are people who want to have that social authority. Going live on any social platform is the way to get that across. And that's the same on Twitter. What about book authors? Well, if you have a book author who's having a signing at a bookstore, what better way than to go live an hour before they're going to be doing the booking event and just go live and tell everybody about it. It's a wonderful experience. And it's just like one click on the app. So it's super easy. So again, there are lots of different businesses who can use Twitter Live, and think about that. And people go live on Instagram, they go live on Facebook, they go live on YouTube. Why not go live on Twitter? Twitter is, if your audience is already established there, then that's a great way to do it. All right, let's go on to the next one here. What about, go back here. Twitter Spaces. All right, so here's the thing about Twitter Spaces. Even just this morning, I was listening to a Twitter Space on my phone. It was called Coffee Talk. Looks like it's still going on. And they're talking about YouTube. This was a wonderful conversation. Think about Spaces as a kind of a built-in podcast, radio station, clubhouse type of thing. Now, who is this good for? Who are Spaces good for? Again, if you're trying to gain authority in any niche, in any field, holding and hosting a space and having people come in and ask questions and having a group of people answer them along with you is a great way to gain authority in your niche. So it's the same reasoning someone would say, oh, I need to get on a podcast, or I need to get on a radio station, back in the day, or I need to get on TV. Whatever those things are, Spaces are live, but they also can be recorded. So that's the reason a lot of people use them for podcasting, period. And so, for example, just to give you an idea, now everyone's Spaces are going to look a little bit different depending on who you follow and what you're interested in. So I have the Coffee Talk about YouTube. There's a Web3 for beginners coming up. There's personal branding space coming up, a digital marketing news coming up. There's also lots of fun things like bored at work, come chill with us. So there's a lot of those. And there's also a lot of NFT and a lot of crypto things in the space straight up. There is a lot there. So and honestly, if I'm scrolling through Spaces and I don't see anything that appeals to me, then there's nothing there for me to go and do. So there's a tremendous opportunity for somebody to get in there in a particular niche for people who are not interested in crypto and who are not interested in NFTs and who are interested in what you have to say or your clients have to say. It's definitely worth the experiment in my feelings. So Spaces, think about using Twitter Spaces. All right, back to the top of the list here. This one on Twitter chats. Now, Twitter chats have been around forever, basically. It's something that basically the people inside of Twitter built for themselves. It's not a feature of Twitter. It's not a built-in feature of Twitter. It's something that the users of Twitter have created. And of course, the most famous in my mind of all of them is the Twitter Smarter Chat with Madeline. And she hosts this thing on Thursdays, and then she has a space about it afterwards, I believe. And this is really just amazing if you want to go in here. And yes, she does her recaps. The chat recaps are Spaces. So anyway, I just think that the chat, and if you've never attended a chat, then you've really missed out on a tremendous opportunity to meet new people and to connect with new people and gain new followers. People are always asking all the time, how do I get new followers on Twitter? The biggest, easiest, quickest way is to join Twitter chats in your niche and go and follow and enjoy the conversation inside those Twitter chats with those people, and make sure you are participating and saying wonderful things so that people will go and follow you. So now, what business is this good for? First off, I think it's good for a social media manager to go and enjoy something like this Twitter Smarter Chat, just to feel community and understanding and connection with people who are doing the same things you're doing. So that feeling is a very important one to have, especially if you work alone at home. But also think about it. You can have a Twitter chat on any topic. So look at the types of businesses that you have, the types of clients that you have, and say, do they need to connect with more people in this field or industry on Twitter for either their gaining more followers, or for getting people on their email list because you're offering things to people during the chat that they find useful, or for networking to find better opportunities? For example, this is a very odd thing, but if you have a speaker for a client as a social media manager, how can they use Twitter chat? Because you can think, well, it's a chat. It's not, they don't hear their voice or their speaking ability. Yes, this is true. But the advice that they can give during a Twitter chat about being a speaker can raise their social authority. And the people who are there in that particular chat about speaking or speaking opportunities or speaking experiences will find new speakers for their organizations. So it's a great way to network. It's something that, again, is underutilized, and it's a great feature of Twitter. All right, back to this. All right, so we have here one feature I think is like really, really cool that hardly anybody does anymore, especially since it's so video heavy right now on all the social platforms except for Vero, which I'll talk about in a minute. But the 4 photos per tweet, and I want to show you what that looks like. I'm going to go over to my own profile here for a minute and scroll down. And I put something up here the other day with 4 photos, and I want to show you what it looks like and how you could use it with your clients. And here we go. So the nice thing about Twitter is when they have this photo grid, each photo is the same exact size. So think about this for your clients. How could you use these 4 images? You could expand what you're saying in the tweet by all sorts of space with text on these images. So I know you've seen the swipes and the carousel images on Instagram and all the different other places where you swipe and you get basically like a blog post through those 4 swipeable 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 swipes. Well, here on Twitter with these 4, you can tell a story in this storyboard format that could be very attractive on Twitter. So I think that's really important, that whatever you do on Twitter, that it does stop the scroll. And 4 images saying something or showing a process of something can be very attractive for clients. So for example, what if you have a restaurant client, and so you have 4 pictures of menu items here, or 4 different cocktails, and in the tweet it's like, vote for the one you want to have half off in the next meal. Come by and say you saw it on Twitter and 50% off. I mean, it's super easy to do and it looks lovely, and I would probably go there. That's all I'm saying. I would probably go there. All right. So again, a feature that's very unique in terms of how it shows up on Twitter that not hardly anybody is using. That's really very beautiful. All right. Now, let's talk about audio tweets. So I can't test this for you because this is only on iOS at the moment. But you can tweet with your voice. And the instructions on how to do that are right here. And the cool thing is that Voice tweets will be published as tweets with audio attachments that people can play, and your current profile photo will be added as a static image on the audio attachment, and tapping someone's voice tweet will play the audio and advance for threaded voice tweets on iOS. Threaded. So you know what threaded means, right? It means that you continue. It's like how when you record something in an Instagram story and it continues to make a new story, it's the same thing with a thread. It makes a new tweet with the longer you talk on it. So I think this will, this has the potential to change a lot of things. So now, who would use this? Who would use a voice tweet on Twitter? Like, what type of business would be best for that? So let's think about it. If you are on Twitter to network with people, then obviously tweeting with your voice is a good way for human connection. Hearing the human voice is a good way for people to get to know somebody else. So that doing that shows that you are aware of making that connection with people. The other thing is, if you like to talk instead of type, this is built for you, right? It's just built for you. So if you have a client and really needs to be on Twitter, but is not because of they have to type up the tweets or they have to put them in a doc for you to post and it's just a bother, teach them how to tweet with their voice. And then you'll get them up and running on Twitter a lot better. All right, next one, Twitter lists. So Twitter lists are, again, one of the oldest features on Twitter that sort of had a wave of popularity, and now people don't use them as much. Whereas they are like communities, a way to sort the tweets that you see in your feed so that you see what you want to see. So for example, let's just go see some things here. So you can see here at the top of this, you see lists. Now, oops, come on Twitter, don't get weird on me. Okay, here we go. So the nice thing about lists is that you can pin them. So if you have lists that you really like, you can pin them. And then what happens is on your mobile app, the way that shows up, and I'm sure you cannot see this, but at the very top where it says home, and like even if I do this, we're gonna do the thing you're not ever supposed to do live. At the very top, you'll see home, and then you'll see SME experts, and then you'll see social media marketing world speakers like that. Those are the lists that have been pinned on my account. Okay, so if on my account, these pinned ones show up at the top, and if I click over to them, then I see only the tweets from the people that have been put on that list. And I cannot tell you how helpful that is when you are trying to sort through the tremendous amount of noise that can be on any social site. So you can have these pinned lists that show up on your mobile account. There are a discover new lists, so it's a way for you to discover new lists, and there's lots and lots of these. You can see that. And then you'll see the lists that you have. Now, these are either ones that I created or that I was put in, okay? So this was created by Rachel, and she put me in it. And I'm just, oh, here's one from Jen. So I'm just gonna, that's from 2011, okay? Obviously, these are in alphabetical order, which is interesting. You can also have private lists. So these are people I have put on a list that's private. And there are so many of these. Here's one from Kim. Entrepreneurs. Let's just click at that one real quick and you can see how the list looks. So there's 11 members and there's 60 people following it. And if you want to see who she put on that list, you just click members. And now you can follow these people if they're in your niche and these are people that you want to connect with, right? Great way to follow new people and find new people in your niche is through the list program. So going back to the list again, you can see this little pin right here. That's what you click in order to put it up into your pinned list. You can see I'm in lots and lots and lots of lists, but also you can see, hi Grandma Mary. Those of you know, those of you don't, that was probably very weird for you. All right, so in other words, there's lots and lots and lots of Twitter lists. And if you use a system like Paperly, which I'm not going to go into today, but if you use a system like Paperly, then these Twitter lists become super important because how it populates that particular thing is based on a Twitter list. Now, who should use a Twitter list? Okay, as a social media manager, if it's your job on Twitter to find things to retweet from other people, the easiest way to find those things is to put those people on a Twitter list, and it can be private or it can be public. And then that way you can click to the list and only see the tweets from those people, and then it's super easy to retweet the things that you want to retweet. So if you have in your job as a social media manager the job of retweeting industry things or other people, other leadership people that you want to promote, then put them on a list. It makes it super easy. So for example, let's go over to this list on social media experts. There's 38 people on this list. There's 7 people following it. And I'm the one who created it, right? And so all these people here are experts in social media and social media marketing. I don't have any of the noise in this feed to get in the way, and it's super easy to like it and share it. Super easy. And I will get lost here, and we'll go ahead and click that and share that one too. So easy, right? So again, as a social media manager, Twitter list is one of those things that you should really, really have at your disposal. Let's also say that you have a client, let's have a client, a book author, let's say, and if you're here listening, go ahead and put in the types of clients that you have, and I will make reference to those in terms of these features, okay? Hey, Jen, good to see you too. So again, depending on your client, a Twitter list can be either used privately or publicly. And if you're using it privately, then it's a good way to collect information, to do research, to have an ongoing sort of listening ability to see what's happening in a particular field or a particular group of people. And in the public arena, having a public list, remember, you can share the list. You can use the list as sort of like a playlist like you would on YouTube or any other space like that. So let's say you have a book author client. What would be a good way to use this feature for your book author client? Well, first off, I would go and I'd find all the bookstores in the country that you're working in that do that are on Twitter, and that can be done just by using a search, using advanced search and finding book stores, places all over the country. Put them on a Twitter list, and now a private Twitter list. So now you can see what they're doing, you can see how they promote, you can vet them in terms of your client, and now you have a list of people who are actively working on Twitter, who actively promote their authors and their book events, and now you can reach out to those people. So it's a good way for research, right, in that private arena. And I'm going to put this up because I think this is exactly right. So Jen says, I love making lists when I'm about to attend a conference. I add in people I know are attending, speakers, into the course, the host of the event, all the things. Great place to do some pre-event networking and to follow up after the event as well. Exactly. And I think that it's one of those things, if you're an event creator or someone who helps promote events, that having a Twitter list is one of the best things you can do. And of my Twitter lists, over here. I actually have quite a few through time. Let me just go back up to my list, and you'll see that a lot of my lists are from events through time, and those are some of the best ones to follow, especially in social media. Right here's like this one right here. This was created by Social Media Plus. Maybe you did this, Jen. I don't know, but this is great because this is that particular event right there. And so these are great. I mean, all the way back from Social Tech 2010. Like, I've been doing this a while, right? All right. So that was Twitter list. Let's go back over to our big list here. And let's talk about Media Studio. So a lot of people don't have a clue about what Media Studio is. And this is the thing about Media Studio, is that it's awesome, like really awesome. So you know how you can have on YouTube, you can have a manager for your YouTube channel. Well, this is the same thing for Twitter. Inside of Media Studio, you can actually give access to someone else to all the media, all your video, all the things in there. It's really, really an amazing thing, and most people don't understand it. You can upload things directly to Media Studio and then repurpose them through time in terms of tweets and stuff. And I'll just go and show you Media Studio from my own account here, so you get a little bit of an idea of what that's all about. Hello, Media Studio. So here's a library. And remember that thing I just showed you with the 4 pictures? Well, those pictures are now in my library, and I can reuse them here, just retweet them just by clicking this button right here. So there's all of this, and you can sort this by I can sort this by video. I don't know how many videos. Oh, look, I do have a lot of videos through time. Last one was there. I can do it through images. I can do all of these things. Maybe I have a few of these. Yes, I do. Just a few. So anyway, so all the media. You can also sort it by tweeted and not tweeted. Because the thing is over here, you can upload media, especially if you have longer video. This is where you upload it, right? So now, also, if you want to see the analytics, it'll take you over to analytics. But if you go to producer, all your live broadcasts here, all your scheduled things are here, all the ones that have ended are here, all of that. And if you want to see your scheduled tweets, all right? And I haven't scheduled any in a while, but that's what they would sit. So Media Studio, you can also have shared media. Just like you can have shared branded account media on Instagram and on Facebook, you can do the same thing here on Twitter. And then the other thing is this whole idea of adding managing permissions across accounts. And the nice thing about this is you would drop down my name, edit access to the account, click the add access button, type in the name, and then you have all these different types of permission levels. So if you want somebody who's just a contributor, or somebody who just should see the analytics, or if you have somebody who is just uploading video and media into the Media Studio for you to use in your tweets later, that someone can have just that permission access over. So I just think it's an underutilized thing, and that some people really need to go and take a peek at it. Yeah, exactly. Most people don't know about it. They don't have a clue. But it's super cool, and I've used it on occasion when I had larger video that you couldn't upload just through the native Twitter thing. You can through Media Studio. So anyway, yep, pretty cool. All right, so now let's go on back. We've still got lots of I have lots of features here to go. Let's go ahead and take a look at the next one on the list. And the next one on the list, whoops, not secret tools yet. We're not doing secret tools yet. we're going to do Twitter Circle. Now, this is new to Twitter, and not a lot of people get it, but it's a way to send tweets to select people. So think about it as a group chat. That's basically what it is. It's a group chat, except done through tweets. So you can create a circle of people. Only the people you've added to and interact can inside the circle. So it's a private group chat using tweets. Okay, so that's the thing. Yes, Twitter circles are actually very cool, and I wish somebody would add me to their Twitter circle. Add me to a Twitter circle. So anyway, this is lots of fun. And so again, who is this for? Well, it's definitely, if you work with a team and your team is on Twitter a lot, it's a good way to have conversation. If you're not using Slack or something like that, it's a cool way to do that. Also, this is a great space for people who are, let's say, the speakers group of an event. Like the speakers want to get together and talk among themselves. Instead of using WhatsApp or something like that, they can use a Twitter circle. There's lots of different things to do, but being that it's private and it's not public, then it's not really for your clients who need to be public on Twitter, right? So it's more of a internal conversation feature that some people might need with their team. Okay, so that's what that's all about. And I think Twitter Circle's cool, but again, some of these are things that are really good for internal teams, and some things are really good for public broadcasting. All right, next, Twitter topics. Who understands Twitter topics? So Twitter topics, if you've been on Twitter lately, and hopefully you've been on Twitter lately, you can actually follow a topic, just like you can follow a topic on LinkedIn, and you can follow a hashtag on Instagram, and there's lots of different ways of following a keyword, basically. It's the same thing here. It's following a topic. So there's topics on everything, especially when you start liking and following people on Twitter in a particular niche. Twitter will suggest that you follow the topic. And by following the topic, as in every social platform, if you follow the topic, you will be introduced to new people in that space that maybe you're not finding in your regular feed on Twitter. So follow a topic. So again, if you have a client that is in a particular niche, then you follow the topic for that niche so that you can find people to follow. It makes following so much easier if that's part of your job description on Twitter. So topics are really cool. And again, it's an underutilized feature. All right, same thing for advanced search. Advanced search is really very good. And it's probably the best internal search system on any social platform. There, I said it. I said it. So the nice thing is, if you're on Twitter, let's go over here to Twitter, and I want to search Twitter up here, and I want to search for, what's a topic I should search for? You can see what I've searched for before. Let's search for, what should I do? Well, I always use social media, but that's not for your clients. I'm trying to think of a topic for one of your clients. So let's say your client is, does what? Jen, give me an idea here. So many different types of clients here. Let's just do this and while we're waiting. Okay, so searching for social media, right? So if I click on search for social media, then I go to the top search for that, the latest search for that, the people, the photos, the video, right? Now over here, if you click right here, you have advanced search. In advanced search, look at all the things you can do to really define and refine the search results. I mean, like minimum replies, minimum retweets, the dates that you want it to bring it up. You only want it with links or not. You only want the original links. You only want it from these particular accounts. You only want it in English. You only want it if it has this hashtag. None of these words, none of these, any of these words, this exact phrase in all these words. So it's a very robust, advanced search interface. And so again, if you as a social media manager are in charge of finding things or finding people or finding situations that have to do with your client, using advanced search is super helpful. And once you've set all of these up and you do a search, it saves the search criteria so you can do it again the next time you need to come in here. So if a social media manager comes into Twitter and they're just like randomly trying to find people in the feed, they will waste so much time. So use these tools. That's the best way to do it. So Jen, aviation, okay. So like a small new airline kind of thing. That's super cool. I like that. So if you go into search, let's get rid of this one, aviation. I did not think of that one, but thank you for that. Now, look at this. First off, just using it as a keyword, we have Aviation Week. Did you know there was an Aviation Week, Jen? GE Aviation, New York Aviation, all of these things, all right here. Easy. Fire and aviation. Who knew? From the National Public Park Service. That's super cool. All right. So again, just by putting in the keywords, you're going to have all of these people you can follow. And remember, put them on a list, right? Put them on a list. So let's just go ahead and type in aviation. And then we're going to go over to advanced search. Oh. And then most of our clients are really, like, that is very interesting. Yes, it's very, very important. And Jen says that most of her clients are aviation related. Well, you know, that's super interesting. I'm always interested in what people have niched into. I know, you know, that Ruth has all this connection with agriculture, and I have people that I've been connected with who only do farm equipment sales, you know, and all sorts of different things that you don't think about it, but I have ranches around here who do social media, so you could definitely niche into promoting ranches, right? So there's so much available here. So anyway, you can do your advanced search in here, and you would know the words to use because you have the clients, and to get that search thing just right and to find exactly who you need. So hopefully you will really enjoy doing all that. And like I said, on here, everything's linked up and you can get to everything very quickly. All right, we are doing pretty good, and I have 1, 2, 3, 4 more to go. So let's do it. So the next one is pinned tweets. If you're not using pinned tweets, you're not really maximizing your profile. If you have any client, whatever the main call to action is for that client, that needs to be the pinned tweet. The pinned tweet on Twitter gets seen the most, interacted with the most, retweeted the most. All the analytics show that whatever is pinned to the top of a profile gets the most juice. So make sure that whatever it is that client is most concerned about on Twitter, that's the pinned tweet. So if you have a client that has ebooks, I have a client with ebooks. Every now and again, we pin the ebook that we were in promotion to the top of the feed. But he also puts out a blog post every single day and has lots of other blog posts posting to Twitter every day, like 10 times a day. So we always pin the the current blog post for that day at the top of the feed to get the most exposure. Otherwise, it just keeps falling down inside the feed because there's so much being posted. So pinning to the top of your profile is super important. If you have a newsletter, if your client has a newsletter and you have a really good call to action for that, that gets pinned. If you have a product you're selling, that gets pinned. If you have a service you sell and you want to direct people to your scheduling page or to get an appointment page, that's what you pin at the top, right? So definitely use pinned. And all about the pinning is in this particular thing right here, pin a tweet. All right, how to do it, super easy. It's one of the easiest things to do, actually. Okay, let's talk about hashtags and keywords. So I think everyone understands that all the social media platforms are moving to this way of knowing what's inside a post so that you don't have to put a hashtag. Now, right now, hashtags are still important in a lot of different places, but your keywords that are used in the text of all your tweets are also important. So on a tweet, sometimes if you need the text of a tweet to say a particular thing, but there's a hashtag you really need to put in there, make room for it, because those hashtags are still used in search and they're still used in other people finding content. So hashtags and keywords, you still have to do the thing, but definitely don't overdo it on Twitter. You know, 1 or 2 hashtags is plenty. I have seen people do tweets and then in a threaded tweet, in the second thread in the tweet is all the hashtags. So I don't know if anyone's tested that or not, but that's certainly something that would be interesting to test. Now, there is one social site that uses hashtags really well, and that's Vero. And if you haven't looked at Vero in a long time, you should go look at it, because it's one of the last remaining social sites that doesn't have advertising, has a chronological feed, and hashtags are used properly there. So it's very interesting to see. It's sort of like a time capsule in the way that hashtags used to be used on all social sites. It's still done over there. So it's very interesting. All right, onward. Twitter location. Who needs Twitter location? So think about it. If you, as a social media manager, do a lot of traveling around, you should not use Twitter location because safety, because it's important for you to be safe. But if you have a client, again, like the food truck or the restaurant or the bar or the spa or the aviation company, your location is probably a good idea to show, because people might be searching for that. And so having location turned on for those tweets, as long as you are, if you're doing the posting for the restaurant, are in the same location as the restaurant. Okay, so that's super important. But location is another feature that, depending on your business, you either turn it on or you turn it off. Okay, so again, here's all the information about that. And so I was just reading this here. They might, and I'm not sure if Agorapulse lets you change or add location. So it is off by default. You need to opt in. So again, if you have a restaurant client and they're tweeting from there, then definitely they should turn on the location. All right, we're getting down there. Embedded tweets. I use this personally almost every day. Almost every day. Jen, do you use embedded? Oops. I got the little puppy in the red chair. No, my link is wrong. I will fix that for you guys. But I need to tell you about embedded tweets. So on Twitter, and let's just go find a tweet. Let's go back. Let's go back and let's just go find a tweet. All right, here's a great tweet. Gee, I think I recognize that name. Hi, Christine. We're looking at your tweet here. If you click the more, then you have this. It's called Embed Tweet. And if you click Embed Tweet, you now have the code. And you can set the customization options on it. But basically, I just copy the code, and then on a WordPress site, all you need to do is, if you use the block system in a WordPress site, you use the custom HTML block. You just paste that right in there, and then the whole tweet is there, all linked up beautifully, dynamic, usable, everything, and it's the best. So, for example, if you're doing a blog post on, let's say, an aviation event, and there were some wonderful tweets, you can go to the tweet, get the embed code, place it on your website, and have it show up right there. And it links all the way back to Twitter. All the attribution is done. It's a very cool system. So Embed Tweets, if you have blogging clients. So if you have a client that does a lot of blogging, then that would be the thing to use. Now, we are 4 minutes to the top of the hour. And again, I said these are just a few of the best features on Twitter. And there's a couple other little things I just want to show you real quick, is that there are some kind of cool secret tools in Twitter that you can use. There's a whole developers tools where you can put things on your website, have things in the bars and in your things and in the embed into your social site. There's a whole bunch of developer tools in there. So take a look at those. And now I'm super curious how you will use Twitter going forward. Is it something you're going to look into more, or if you're just like, nah, I just don't want to do Twitter? I'm very, very curious how you feel about Twitter at this point in time. So, yes, and Jen says, yes, every once in a while we do an embed tweet. It's super easy to do. It's super effective in terms of showing that you know how to curate something important. And and yes, I'm so glad you're here, because I love Twitter too, very much so. Twitter has always been there for me. I love Twitter. There's lots of good opportunities in lots of different ways. Again, I'm available to anyone who wants to kind of brainstorm how to use Twitter for your particular client. And we can talk about all these different ways and see how it would work for you. Alrighty, team. So I'm going to go ahead and end this. I will go put the link to this slide deck in all the places, but especially over in the community. And again, if you don't know what the community is, reach out to me and I'll get you in there. And Jen, let's back to work. All right. Talk to you later. Bye-bye, everybody.